Eric Schoenberg, and here to talk about a project that I just recently have been doing with Dana Bourgeois, who was my partner at the beginning of Schoenberg Guitars. We started this company together about 1985. We were taking a guitar that we designed together based on an old Martin, and we took it to the Martin factory and worked out a way where we could do part of the work and they could do the rest, the main assembly, and that's the way Schoenberg Guitars started. And our first model was a Soloist, which here's a good example here. This is 1988. We took I was playing OM 28s at that point, or OMs, from the very early 30s. And I wanted a new instrument. This is 85, but there wasn't too much available in fingerstyle specialized guitars. I wanted to have something new. You were traveling around with some special rare old guitar, and I wanted to maximize aspects. A lot of it was looking at a variety of the old guitars. I had one OM28 that had a particularly wonderful neck shape, and I wanted to also have a cutaway. So Dana and I worked together. He made a guitar, and he designed a lot of the cosmetics and the construction and all that stuff. And we took the prototype to Martin and sat around this big table. We were pretty good friends with Chris Martin at the time, and so he suggested coming up, sitting around this table with all the heads of the departments. In fact, when we passed this guitar around and started the process of a collaboration between Martin and Dana and me. So recently, Dana asked me that it was 30 years ago, and basically he wanted to do a commemorative edition and of the Soloist. So we got together again, combined our concepts. One of the things is he shipped me a neck. The neck shape to me is really important. There's just certain things, and I learned from those Martins, right around 1930-31, there was something, there must have been a guitar player at the factory shaping necks, because someone all of a sudden really got it. And then they drifted away from it. And I spent, for the last 30 years, I've been trying to figure out how to talk about it or how to recognize what the characteristics are. And so Dana sent a neck that he sort of started, and then we sent it back and forth a couple times. I took photos of a neck showing the edge just the way we wanted it, and Dana had, I guess he had a dozen sets of this very startling Cocobolo, very beautiful, and about a dozen, I guess that's an Italian spruce top. But one thing we did back in the old days was we focused on the bear claw. Mm-hmm. We found a bunch of tops that had incredible bear claw. And that's sort of like a historical throwback to what we were doing in the early days. We used to go through Martin's reject pile, and they didn't really want the bear claw. You know, for them, they were focused on pure, perfect spruce. So we go through their reject pile and find really great bear claw stuff. And it would end up back at the factory becoming Schoenberg Soloists. Other features, we did the Pyramid Bridge. Only the first few OMs back in 1929, early 30, had pyramid bridges. And I think less bridge gives a more open sound. And it's ebony, it's hard wood, and so it's like a brace. You know, I think it opens up a guitar nicely to use this one. Plus, it's beautiful. Simple appointments, but tasty. This is all of Dana's designs. We talked about a cutaway shape, and I like the Maccaferry cutaway, which goes straight out here. Dana felt that bend was going to be too sharp. Yeah, a Maccaferry is laminated sides and back, making it more possible to make a bend that tight. But we were doing a lot of Brazilian rosewood, and this stuff like this is cocobolo. And you can't afford to break sides when you're doing Brazilian rosewood and stuff like that. And besides, I think we both like this slightly more curved shape. It's particularly attractive. And since then, a lot of people have taken on that shape. You'll see it all the time, but that was a new thing when we did it. Even Martin uses it on a lot of their models these days. They still have our templates that we gave them. Concept was to combine a player, an individual luthier, and the factory. So we had my input, what would make a guitar for great playing. Dana's, he's always been into the tap tuning the tops and picking the woods, and so that was a big contribution from him. He actually applied his luthier skills to each guitar. He'd actually go down to the factory at the precise moment when the top was going to be attached to the back. And we'd do tapping and thinning and adjusting. And then Martin put it all together. And another aspect of the lutherie thing was to choose wood specifically for each guitar. And in those days we were still able to find a bunch of Brazilian rosewood. We funded a wood supplier's trip to Brazil. He picked up a bunch of wood, and then we had to meet the ship when it came in at San Francisco. We came from the East Coast, actually, to meet the ship. And remember, we had piles of Brazilian rosewood. We were really trying. And we'd send a kit to Martin. In the beginning, there's certain things that they didn't want to do, like bending the binding. They hadn't done wood binding since roughly around very early 30s. And so we would send them the binding already bent. I think we did a lot of the side bending as well. And making the braces, we would brace the tops. Anyway, we feel I've always felt it's sort of a very perfect performance instrument. One nice little touch that Dana added was a little inlay on the heel cap, a little slotted triangle, and it's just a nice little touch. Everybody seemed to attach a lot of importance to it. So here it is again. Dana's added diamonds on the bridge too, and I believe those are Ivoroid. So there's no pearl on the guitar. There's no Brazilian rosewood. And I must say that after 30 years, it's been a lot of fun to hook up with Dana again and do this wonderful project. There's 12 made. This is number 1, which is mine. Here's we just got this one, number 11.